But officially, I guess it's oh wow, I'm gonna get Heath, 5-star Heath to start of the batch. Oh, let's go. I'm gonna summon Brave Celica. I actually have her at pretty high merges because Greenstone's no, not this version. Okay. I hope this one actually has the ninja version. But yeah, usually Greenstones have better chances of giving you 5-star. Okay, what is happening? This is some sick joke. Okay. I better get Ninja Camilla on this redstone here. Never mind. They just bamboozled me. So let us begin with the questions that you guys have left. As always, if you want me to answer any kind of summoning... Oh my god. Laegjarn showing up. If you had to pick 4 units to cut... Oh my god. The luck on this banner is insane. What is this ninja luck? Okay, Olivia. I also have her at pretty high merge. Oh, Mamori. I actually got her, but yeah. Got Camilla, got all of the focus units. Oh wow, I'm gonna be getting Brave Lucina. That's pretty amazing. I actually do use her quite a bit in like Aether Chaos. So the first question is by Clara Felix. As I'm reading that, I'm gonna get Saber here. Alright. Like the first one that we saw in the trailer, the heavy metal. I just love it so much. And as I'm praising Book 3 theme, Ganglot is just gonna show up. I'm gonna get Brave Veronica. Alright. Young Sita and Young Marth outfit. So that is kind of endearing. Sita just showing up, and then Ascended Tiki showing up, as I just appreciated her outfit inspiration. So I've pretty much got all of the 5-star focus units on this banner, which is incredibly lucky for sure. I'm actually gonna get Ira. Okay. I'm actually gonna get Chiro. Chiro is like, I'm the only Lance Infantry unit you need. So those are my top priority units. I really have to do nothing with the green color. And my free summon is gonna be Legendary Petra. So that's off to a good start, taking away all kinds of friendships from people. So Ascended Celica is gonna be showing up, and that is my top priority unit. The one unit that I wanted is very important. Oh my god, before even starting the question, Embla is like, let me answer this for you. I'm definitely gonna be showing up. The first question is by Maz, and they're asking me as I get Legendary Veronica as my next summon right after Embla. And I'm gonna get serious here. Okay, that's good. After I get her. So that's fantastic. Honestly, a pretty lucky session. I'm gonna be trying for Marita. The next question is by Steffi, and they're asking me, oh my god, I'm gonna get Marita with plus speed IV. Alright, let's go. And I'm just gonna get Tsubasa here. Alright. As a 4-star special. I definitely like the 4-star specials, just giving you merges out of nowhere for a unit that you never would go for the merges for. And I'm just gonna get Thor. Oh my god. Okay. Completely neutral IV Thor. Call this a free-to-play unit. No, I'm just kidding. Spring Henry. Oh my god, Erica. What is happening? 3 5-star units in the same batch. That's insane. I just want to continue and see if this continues and I actually get like 4 5-star units in the same batch, which has never happened to me ever since I've played this game since 2017. So if that happens, that would be a new record for me personally. Never mind, Laszlo is going to be like, nope. Took Emirat sessions if I could, if I get the time, that is. And you do talk about stopping time for my duochrome, I think. Yeah, duochrome. Brave Cynthia showing up. That is amazing. Not a believer yet on the free-to-play account. Okay, Shadows of Valentia Katria is pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good because she is going to be getting her weapon refined hopefully soon. Oh, another 5-star. Okay. I mean, I'm getting 5-star, but so Petra ends up getting a pretty solid weapon refine that can make her into a good beast slayer, and the beast effective damage is really useful when we do have a couple of beast units in the metagame. We also have a couple of Farsafe tanks, which Petra can try and decimate. She also has -1 special cooldown with her weapon, so it can definitely help with that. So with this weapon refine, she is able to get +8 to all of her stats, and on top of that, she's able to get +6 to all of her stats after comparing her visible stats with an ally that is within 3 spaces of her after subtracting her visible stats by 4. With the refinery part of her weapon, she's able to get the half null follow-up, so she can bypass the follow-up negation effects of a lot of tanks and armor units. And finally, if the foe is at full HP, then in her player phase, she's able to get the null guard and 60% damage reduction. Fallen female Corrin doubles down on her solo condition to become even bigger stat ball, and the description of this weapon is definitely pretty long, but pretty much. So obviously if there is no ally within 2 spaces of her, she's able to get max +7 to all of her stats. She can also get debuff neutralization if there is 1 or less ally within 2 spaces of her, and then she can get +4 to all of her stats in combat on top of that. So pretty much in total she can get +11 to all of her stats if there's no ally within 2 spaces of her. And then finally there's a big description, and what it boils down to is basically Dragon's Wrath 5 if there's no ally within 2 spaces of her. Cynthia gets a pretty amazing weapon refine that goes well with her personality and gives her a lot of stats and effects. So Lance of Heroics gives her +4 to all of her stats, and it also has Wings of Mercy 4 built into it, which means that if any kind of ally is at 80% HP or lower, then Cynthia can just teleport beside them. She also has Omni Clash built into this weapon, so she can get extra attack, speed, defense, and resistance in combat depending on the spaces moved by whoever initiated +4. And then finally she also has Spectrum Unity. So she doesn't really care about any kind of debuff and is able to use the Unity skill to good effect. So overall Cynthia can work pretty well in the player phase as a Gale Force unit in Ether Raid's offense and also as a mixed phase unit. The final unit of this refine batch is Python, and unfortunately his refine is not the greatest. If you remember, this is pretty much the same refine as Fanged Basilicos that Linus got like a year ago, and it did work for him because he's a melee unit, and for Python the priorities are a bit different. He's mainly going to be used in Ether Raid's offense, in Ether Raid's defense, for breaking through far safe tanks, or at least trying to. So with this weapon refine, he's able to get +5 to his attack and speed, and he can get +7 true damage per hit, so this can definitely help him with his damage output. He can also debuff the opponent in combat for -5 speed and defense debuff. And then finally, he does have the in-combat panic on foes' speed and defense buffs. So this weapon is pretty much just missing out on like 1 or 2 like good effects from making Python pretty good, but unfortunately, it is kind of like a copy-paste of a weapon refine that we got a year ago. Now, after her refine and remix, in my opinion, she is pretty much the best mythic after like Matthis and Note. So Yune with Chaos Manifest is going to be getting +11 attack and +10 resistance in combat. She still has the guaranteed follow-up attack, but the new thing that she gets in this primary condition is damage reduction in the player phase on foe's first attack. And the damage reduction that she gets is actually calculated by the highest total debuffs of the foe and the foes within 2 spaces of that target times 2. And keep in mind that this damage reduction has no cap, so this can actually go up to like 100% damage reduction if you panic them and if you also debuff them. And she can also get true damage based on highest total debuffs of the foe and the foes within 2 spaces of that target. And this kind of weapon refine definitely needs a lot of debuffs, and debuffs is what she gets with her new slotsy skill, Chaos named Plus. So this skill is completely evolved now. It does not have any kind of resistance check. It does not have any kind of 3-column range. Instead, it's a global skill, and it's an Omni Chill effect, which can affect a lot of the foes and the foes that are within 2 spaces of them. With his refine and remix, he just goes to a next level for supporting your allies, and he's the kind of unit that could be used in any kind of game mode. So when it comes to his weapon refine, it is definitely a bit more combat centric. Unfortunately, he doesn't really double down on that support, but still having a combat weapon refine is not the worst thing because he can definitely clean up. So with this weapon, he can get +8 to all of his stats, and now he can also give himself the bonus doubler along with the ally who has got the highest attack. He also has the dull all effect built into his weapon, which means that he just neutralizes any kind of foe's visible buffs. And finally, he can get true damage based on 15% of foe's defense. And Vision of Arcadia 2 is the real prize here when it comes to the support, so it's absolutely stacked now. Your team does need to have a dragon or a beast ally to activate this skill, so if that is activated, then he can give +6 attack, speed, defense, Null Panic, and Canto 1 to himself and the ally with the highest attack. Duo Hector is the first duo unit to get a weapon refine, and it is rather tame in nature, but still it can help him tank a bit better, and it's definitely gonna be making him viable as a tank, especially as a near safe tank because of the damage reduction and the healing that he can get. Unfortunately, the primary condition is a bit odd, no pun intended, because it is either going to be working in the odd number turns or if the foe is not at full HP. So using him with Duma is definitely going to be pretty helpful. And with this weapon refine, he can get +8 to all of his stats, and he does have the armor effective damage as well, and he gets damage reduction on foes first hit depending on if they double him or not. He can also get debuff on attack and defense of the opponent in combat depending on 10% of Hector's visible attack set. And then finally, he can get 7 HP healing after the combat. This weapon refine is not the worst thing, but still it's kind of tame because it doesn't really give him auto follow up or like guard effect or anything too unique. So Mia is a Gen 1 sword infantry unit with Resolute Blade as her preferred weapon. This is a pretty old refine, like 3 years old, so it's definitely quite outdated at this point. It just gives her +3 attack and deals 10 true damage whenever she can trigger a special. And then, as you can see, it has got a pretty outdated effect that can only scale up to +7 true damage depending on the difference between her speed stat and the opponent. She can definitely keep up with the metagame in terms of the speed and can definitely make use of Vital Astra and Godlike Reflexes. So you are only going to be building her up if you really like her as a character, and if you do, then we do have Arcane Elutnir, so yeah, that is definitely helpful. So Odin is a Gen 1 blue infantry mage with absolutely pitiful attack at base 24 even after the Resplendent stats, and he has got Odin's Grimoire as his preferred weapon. So this preferred weapon is basically a blade tome that doesn't have the special penalty, which is at least decent, and it does have attack speed link built into it. So his attack being that low is definitely not the best thing, and it's not really salvageable unless you're a big fan of him and you invest completely into him with all of your resources. His base speed is at 34, so it's definitely workable. He does have more HP than most of the mages, and if you compare him to the modern units, then obviously they're going to be coming out on top like Miriel, but even compared to a Gen 1 blue infantry mage like Mail Robin, even he is going to be a better investment because he just has more attack.
Okay, let's go.
So Duo Laegjarn is pretty much going to be the star of this banner with her Flame Frost Bow, giving her that -1 special cooldown, and she does get the dual phase brave effect with this weapon just like all of the other Wyvern Ninja units, and she also gets +5 defense and resistance at the cost of -8 speed. Her main effect is pretty much going to be giving her extra stats in combat to her attack, defense, and resistance depending on the 70% of the highest value among the total buffs of the target and the total bonuses of an ally within 2 spaces of the unit. And she's a blue bow archer, so she's going to be having good matchup against Duo Duma, who's definitely one of the best far safe tanks in the game, and she does come with a new skill in Seal Defense 4. And she also has the Duo skill, which can give her another action, so it could be considered like a Gale Force essentially. Ninja Camilla, in my opinion, is also just as much of a star of the banner as Duo Laegjarn, and a big reason being her weapon, Flowery Scroll. So this weapon, like all of the other ninja weapons, gives her the dual phase brave effect and +5 defense and resistance. This weapon also gives her -1 special cooldown, and in the enemy phase, if she's got more resistance than the opponent, then she can get Vantage. And having this kind of resistance check with the Vantage means that she can Vantage even at full HP. Keep in mind that this resistance check is actually in combat, so seal resistance and attack resistance hold do actually help getting this kind of resistance check so that she can Vantage against the most amount of enemies. Ninja Cherche is an Axe Flyer this time as well, and she's got Wyvern Ono as her preferred weapon. Again, the ninja weapon giving her dual phase brave effect, plus 5 defense and resistance, and she can also get the true damage based on 20% of her defense, and also get the flat damage reduction like Asker and Spring Maria based on 20% of her own defense. Just as a recap, flat damage reduction is completely different from the regular damage reduction that we have known, so Cherche ends up being a pretty defensive unit with her base 44 attack and base 44 defense with a weapon like this, which can boost her damage output and also give her the flat damage reduction. The 4-star focus unit of this banner is Ninja Heath, and he comes with an inheritable dual phase brave bow that does give you plus 5 defense and plus 5 resistance. It doesn't really have anything extra in it because it's an inheritable weapon, and its might is definitely pretty low at 6, so you should only be giving this weapon to units who have got high attack. Ninja Heath himself does come with attack defense cast 3 at 4-star and pulse smoke at 5-star, and he does have pretty unique stat spread when it comes to any kind of flying archer, because none of them have this much defense as Heath at base 40. So overall, Heath is definitely going to be a pretty unique bow flyer having this kind of bulk, but because he's slow, he is going to be relying on quick riposte to get the doubles in the enemy phase. So Ninja Haar is a 182 BST sword flyer this time, and he comes with Wyvern Katana Plus, which is the theme of this banner, giving him the dual phase brave effect and also giving him visible extra plus 5 defense and resistance at the cost of having minus 8 speed. And Haar can definitely function pretty well as a defensive unit and take on the physical threats. His resistance and speed is definitely not the highest, so he's going to be pretty susceptible to null follow-up overall. And having Super Boon and attack especially is pretty good with Wyvern Katana, the weapon which can give you the dual phase brave effect. So he can function as a pretty good melee tank, and he can also work in arena if you want to have a 185 BST flyer. As we all know, in arena, the maps are really flying favored, and Wyvern Katana and Arcane Luthnir are definitely going to be making him quite solid as a unit with his stat spread. So Ganglot is the new rearmed hero who has got Arcane Downfall as the Arcane Axe. And this weapon gives you minus 1 special cooldown and plus 5 to all of your stats. It also provides you with follow-up negation, so that can be pretty good defensively. And then it can also provide you with special cooldown acceleration per attack on both the enemy's hits and your own hits. And finally, you can heal 7 HP per hit in the combat. So overall, this weapon is not really as good as Arcane Luthnir or even Arcane Grima, I would say, but still it can definitely help many of the Axe units. And Ganglot also comes with Quick Riposte 4 as a new tier 4 skill. And the main problem that arises for Ganglot is that she doesn't have a preferred skill, which means that she is going to be running into the problem where she's going to be competing with other Axe units who can literally just copy everything from her base kit and pretty much function that way. Ascended Tiki, in my opinion, is the best unit out of this banner, and she's definitely the strongest one because of the weapon that she has got, and also the preferred Slotsy skill. So Awoken Breath provides her with minus 1 special cooldown, and it's also effective on dragons. And if she's within 3 spaces of an ally, then she can get plus 5 to all of her stats, also get plus 1 special cooldown per attack of both enemies' hits and her own attacks, and she also has the Dull All effect. So she does not really care about the enemy buffs and will be ignoring all of the visible buffs of the opponent. And then finally, she has the special decharging that we have seen on Brave Tiki first, and then on Duoduma. And Ascended Tiki just robs Brave Tiki of that effect. And finally, she has got Altogether as her Slotsy skill, which is exclusive to her. So this has got Joint Drive Spectrum built into it, so Tiki can benefit out of this and also provide the support to her allies, which is definitely really good. She can get damage reduction against AoE specials up to 80%, depending on the allies within 2 spaces of her. She also gets the regular damage reduction on foes' regular attacks on their first attack. So this can go up to 40%, and this is definitely pretty helpful as a frontliner because she is fast to make use of null follow-up. Hardin this time is a Lance Cavalier with Coyote's Lance as his preferred weapon. This gives him minus 1 special cooldown, and if he's within 3 spaces of any kind of ally, then he can give himself and the cavalry allies within 3 spaces the plus 6 visible attack and speed buff, and also the player phase guaranteed follow-up attack. And he can also get plus 6 attack and speed in the combat and reduces damage from foe's first attack by 40%. Finally, he has got a clash effect in his weapon, which can give him the true damage depending on the number of spaces moved by whoever initiated combat. And overall, when it comes to its stat spread, he is going to be quite offensive with that base 41 attack and also base 44 speed. And his physical bulk is definitely workable, especially with the damage reduction that he can get out of his weapon. He does have Seared Sparrow, which is going to be helping him in the player phase just heal up the HP, and attack speed Neo Trace is going to be giving you that Canto and also the attack and speed debuff. Princess Nyna is a staff infantry unit, and she's the first Gen 7 healer. She's the D-mode of this banner, and she's going to be a pretty popular merge project because of her top tier art and the fact that her offensive stat spread is actually pretty good for a healer with 41 base speed having Super Boon in it. She does come with a new staff in Respite Plus, which is basically the non-seasonal version of Talon Baton Plus. So this provides you with Drive, Defense, and Resistance 1 and the Drive Guard effect. So she can definitely function well offensively and also function as a support unit. And she also brings some really amazing fodder for the healers and for supportive units. Matthis is the Grandeur Battle unit from this banner, and I don't really think that he's unique enough to warrant his own video, so I'm just going to be covering him over here. He is a 179 BST Lance Cavalier with Vulture Lance Plus as the inheritable weapon. We have seen Vulture Blade and Vulture Axe, so Vulture Lance was expected, and he does have Chill Attack Defense and Rouse Defense Res 3 as well, but that is present at 4-star. Matthis can basically be considered like a modern Orson with that stat spread. He could also be compared to Fernand, who has a pretty high attack stat, but doesn't really have as much speed or defense as Matthis. Not a lot of people are going to be building up Matthis unless they really like him or they really like his art. Princess Elice is the instant D-mode of this banner, so she's going to be present in the 3-star, 4-star pool, and she's not even given out as a quest reward, so it is going to be miserably hard to get the copies of her and to plus and merge her. But if you do get her, then she is going to be having pretty high attack stat at base 41, being the highest attack stat healer, and she also has Super Boon in that attack stat, so she can definitely function as a hard-hitting healer. She does come with Trilemma Plus as the inheritable staff, which for some reason was only locked to Maribel until now. Not the best staff really, but it's definitely pretty fun. And she also has attack resistance ideal at 5-star, and also has attack resistance gap 3 at 4-star. So she's a flying red beast, and she can open up the 7th slot in the dark season and also boost up the resistance of your dark blessed allies. And the reason why she is so strong is because she can counter one of the main strats directly in Aetherite's offense, which is safe tanking. So her weapon is Enclosing Claw, which gives her minus in special cooldown, and she can get +5 to all of her stats, and also Null Guard in the combat. And then she can also debuff opponents' attack, speed, and defense by -3 at the very least. And she can debuff this up to -9 depending on the foes that are present within 3 rows and 3 columns centered on Embla. And then she can get guard and also the defensive half of Null Follow-Up if there are 2 or more foes present within the 3 row and 3 column space centered on Embla. So she's got Beast Agility 3, which is a new Beast exclusive skill. So this allows a Beast unit to remove their condition to transform, so they can transform beside anyone. And this skill also has the other half of Null Follow-Up, which is the offensive version. Severance is a slot skill which can trigger at start of the turn, and it can inflict the feud effect and the undefended status on the foes within 3 columns and 3 rows centered on Embla. So again, the same range as Arvel, and the feud effect is actually a status effect that you can see, which we did see in the trailer itself, and the undefended status pretty much makes it so that no safe skill can protect that unit who's affected by the status. So if you're affected by that, it pretty much means that you're not going to be able to save tank as easily. She can also get the dodge status and debuff neutralization if there is 1 foe in 3 rows or 3 columns centered on Embla, so it's pretty easy to get the dodge effect on her. So she's got Enclosing Dark as her preferred weapon, and this has got -1 special cooldown built into it. And she also has the Dive Bomb effect, and she can also get +6 attack and speed in combat, and the half Null Follow-Up effect. And the other effects on her weapon actually work depending on the foes that are in 2 spaces of the target foe. So with this weapon alone, she's going to be a pretty strong legendary unit, but she also has her preferred special in Enclosure. So Enclosure works kind of similar to Draconic Aura in boosting up the damage by unit's attack, And whenever she can trigger her special, she can pierce through the damage reduction skills which are non-special based. So Panic Smoke is rather niche skill, and same goes for the tier 4 version of this skill because it is going to be only triggering after the combat. It doesn't really trigger before the combat like a menace skill. And now the tier 4 version of the skill actually gives you the Pelagian status effect to yourself and the allies in the cardinal direction.